Alrighty, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be doing some more of the WICSO series. MedalMan WICSO series. Oh my lord, I am tired today. So, where do we begin? Of course, we go up here to England, where we see these three Irish states decide to team up because of worries that this nation, the Brittany nation, will attack them. And so, completely defensive by the way, they decide they're going to go and attack the oh my lord, the Brandy teams. The first to move would be, of course, the North Irish, considering they're the strongest. And they would pretty quickly occupy that north area and would begin to march on their biggest city right here, with the dark green nation doing that is Wichita's color, doing the same. You would see this one march down the middle, and all three forces would converge on the main city, with the North team in the end capitulating it. Brittany, unable to do much about it, is forced to make a peace treaty wherein each of these nations essentially gain the territories which they occupied. Yeah, that color was way too close. Like that, although they do slightly modify the border to account for issues. After that, we see these three Irish nations begin to explore around their island and find that there isn't like anything here. Along with exploration of the Bay of Biscay, but same thing. We would see the brown team lead to explore this area, and slowly we would see this area become discovered until both those islands and these islands would be discovered, but with both of them being taken by this brown team along with these. This brown team would continue up north, following where they think is shallowest water, and would find these islands up here. These islands would also be captured by them. Sorry. After that, we move over here to Scandinavia, where we see the brown team begin to make large surges up towards it, however slowing down in some parts because it starts to get really cold. Up here in Norway, they stop mostly there, although they do brave the mountains, explore central Sweden here, along with the whole Stockholm area, and find the islands, following the islands and getting into Finland, with this whole sea right here becoming discovered. The brown team would easily be able to seize areas near them, like this, up to that river, and here, however, would have less luck trying to get over there. Only able to gain this part, and the islands, especially as Estonia instead comes up here and lands in the south like this. And yeah, they most definitely have a few cities being made. Crap, I completely screwed that up. So here, 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 along with one of the islands, but not very many inland yet. You see one being made in Gdansk, and we would begin to see the Germans and the East Prussians begin to explore into what we know as like Lithuania and Poland. Central Poland, finding much of here and continuing to explore down the Vistula River until it eventually comes to the end. We also see the Bavarians and the Stuttgartans continue this direction, with help from the south, finding this whole thing right here is really just land to take. And so we see these nations completely balkanize or divide up the area, with the Bavarians stretching all the way into Slovakia and another Hungarian state being formed. We also come up north and see North Lithuania. This area get found by Romania, the dark green team, and the two Livonian teams, plus help from East Prussia, because it's still in like their area, along with the Estonian. I'm just gonna call these guys the Estonians because they have more land in Estonia. Explore up more along the coast of Estonia, even into Russian territory. Is this the first territory found of Russia? I don't know. I don't think so, because this area. But it's the first North Russian area found, really. No. This is Russian. And we would see them come and expand into these areas. We would see the Estonians expand up to this line right here, and down south up to this extent. We would see the Livonians, I'm gonna call these Livonians, expand down into this territory. The East Prussians into this territory. The Romanians up along the Dnieper all the way up into like the Kiev area. And the dark green team stretching up the Dnieper so that they have a border with the Estonians. We see the Don team, hearing of how much land, begins to expand as much as they can. Oh my lord, some bars right there. Expanding into all this territory. But Caucasia isn't to be outdone, and they expand all the way up into this territory. And also, they're getting so big. I ought to make quite a few more cities, considering they're so big. But yeah, right now this area is pretty not lived in. Now we move down to here, where we see the Serbians launch an invasion of the Kosovans in order to seize more territory. And this would go very successful, as the entire country is able to be folded into the nation. Let's get rid of their capital city. We also see, meanwhile, the tan team begin to have some issues. They're very big, yes, and I added the ethnicity layer. Many of it is of their ethnicity, technically. However, many areas, especially out this way, feel that, yeah, we're like your ethnicity, but not really. So what we would see, I'm gonna just put that above that. What we would see is a form of this ethnicity yeah, not really, out here in Macedonia and North Albania, also pulling in the now crippled Albanian state with the ethnicity. And what we would see is essentially a ton of revolts into all of this area. So now what we would see is this area begin to come out in complete revolt, 3 different parts, against the beige team, along with a 4th part of the Albanians coming back for their old land, completely redeclaring the purple nation. The purple nation would be easily able to occupy this territory. As the revolts, these 2 revolts, the beige team was more to go against because they're pretty small, and this one can't really be attacked too easily. This one, though, is a big issue, and they would launch an attack across the border, able to cut it in two. However, they would face an issue as they get invaded by, and don't worry, you can see there are cities there. They get invaded by this yellow team, which I'm actually going to make more like this color so that you can see the cities better. Hey, and that's probably why none of these have capitals. I must have glanced into that part and said, hey, that looks good, so they must have capitals. Well, they don't. And now we see up there in South Serbia, we would see these guys completely kick the beige team out and cross the border, eventually occupying the whole state and threatening that city. With these guys beginning to march through and past the city. And the beige team would be forced to give up. I'm going to real quick fix this because I have issues remembering I have a province layer anytime I change the map for some reason. And yeah, especially for like the north, for areas like that. But yeah, and what we would see is the Thessaloniki nation take this whole province, this nation take this province, and this province gains independence and its whole own state. And that color is way too close. Give me a quick sec. Alrighty there. But yeah, we see the beige team forced back to this territory. Now, we move south to here, where we see this pink nation begin to reunify its old lands. See, I marched down here against the cyan team, capturing this, and doing the same against this cyan team, completely obliterating them. Third, marching against here. They eventually sweep over this nation and march into this nation's capital. After doing that, they move all their troops south and, to a shock to many, obliterate this purple nation. And now, this nation expands multiple fold, like 7-fold something, back into a quite strong nation. And with all those capitals. Meanwhile, we move to the red team, whom begins to face some issues. This area, and essentially all the outskirts of the empire feel like not being represented enough, along with nobles, and here begin to lose pay from gains and stores they had over there, along with a small group of people opting that they should go for a republic. And so we would see the red team, in a shock to about everyone, completely collapse. So we have the North Sudan, the Sinai, South Israel, South Jordan, and Libya all break out into violent revolts. Each of them have their, of course, honestly, no shocker here, their own capitals. Libya. Libya's here. The Sinai is here. Jordan's here. South Israel is here. Actually, no, probably this here. And Sudan's actually here instead of on the river. Although it's contested that could be it. But the red team isn't able to do much about that because their main nation, right here, falls to a new dynasty. Meaning that the old Red Kingdom, for now, is lost. We now come over here, where we see the pink team, in a threatening move, force the orange team to cede the land up to here. These two nations watch on nicely because there's a chance that this could lead to an even more collapse of the sick nation, which has also just lost Sardinia to a revolt, making this line very interesting. We move over. We don't see any expansion on this front. But what we do see is all of these nations find the end of desert. Now, all 6 of these nations had just had some stuff going on. These guys had just had this. These guys actually didn't have much. These guys had the people leaving the south. These guys are newly independent, I believe. and these guys are also newly independent. So all six decide to come together and agree to divide the nation. Oh, not nation. Rest of non-populated Arabia. And we would see this become the new map of Arabia, meaning that this desert, not this one no longer needs discovery. Move down to Ethiopia, who seizes even more territory into the plains, began to get really significantly large. Could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. Move down here to this nation, where we see this, since this nation is stronger, we see them explore along the coast, yes, but seeing Savannah, they're like, kind of mid, and opt to go inland, eventually finding Lake Malawi, I think, is what it is, and exploring this whole route towards it, finding there is land on the other side too. Although they're unsure whether it could just be part of this ocean over here and it's a bay. But what we do see happening is them going on large expansion, seizing. Hold on, I'm coloring it in. Not that much. All of this territory, building a good couple cities on it, being here, 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 and here, mostly along direct water. However, we see it going a lot slower up here since they are separated. Although, yes, still exploration. They learn that the water ends there. They learn of that lake. I forget what it's even called. I said this is discovered. And exploration. Not that much by this nation on this lake into all that. Wait, is that? What is that lake? I don't know. What we definitely see is that these nations all go on rapid expansion, with this nation conquering this territory, this nation seizing this territory, this nation taking this, this one taking this. I'm not going to. I don't think you guys really need to say that again. I think you guys can just watch the video and see what each nation takes. No need for me to keep blabbering on and annoying your ears. But yeah, there's still no more cities down there. But they do conquer that area, so that's a thumbs up, I guess. We see, like I said, Iran staying stationary. Same with India, as they're both still trying to stabilize. But we see more rapid, first off, exploration into areas near Southeast Asia. Because there's so many small groups all trying to go for their own goals. We see the jungles, Southeast Asia is really posing a challenge, but the rest of this peninsula is discovered by different people, and the island of Jakarta now is known to exist. And a group of people do surprisingly go onto the island, though I'll paint them in a second, so I'm going to get all these done at once. we see the rest of this sea get discovered by people who were on it, along this island. And we would see explorations and groups of people snake up the Vietnamese coast, eventually round it, and along here, also finding Hainan, the whole island. And forgive me for more cuts. We will see what happens to this still decent map. Alrighty, and this is the map that comes out for Southeast Asia. Very much balkanized, with the state even forming there. But, I think this was a good episode. If you have any questions, this video was made with help from Clipchamp, a Microsoft filming software, which is what I'm going to be using from now on because it allows for a lot better editing. And I will see y'all in the next one. So, goodbye.